Hello everybody, today is my seed sowing video for May, and this one is all vegetables. In sometime next week there'll be one with all the flowers and a few extra herbs that I want to get sown this year, so that will be 4 or 5 days time, something like that. But for now I want to get some veg going. Now the other day outside in the companion planted bed I planted some peas, and they were the Blauwschokker, purple podded but green peas inside, and yeah, they're nice and they look brilliant. But they're a normal podded pea. What I need to do now is get some Mange 2 on, and I've got some here, Carabi de Moussan. Also have them over there. They're desperate to go out. They will go out up a tripod somewhere. They're an early, we're growing those early, and this is the second batch which will follow on from that, so that hopefully we get a continuation through the year. And then later in the video we'll be at home in the greenhouse where I'll sow all the sort of hot weather crops, the sweet corn, courgettes and stuff like that. So we'll do all that a bit later, but for now there's a few bits up here or down here that I want to get sown. We'll crack on with these peas. So the Blauwschokker peas came out of this gutter either yesterday or the day before yesterday. So I've just put some fresh compost in, and I'm just going to sow a few more. I'm going to use this whole packet up like so, just roughly space them out a bit. Then I'll put some compost on top, water them, and they'll go on the hanging shelf back here behind me. And that's another sowing out of the way. So I'm very pleased with that. Now we'll go into the tunnel and do some more sowing. So I'm sowing some more lettuce here. I've already got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 varieties in. I'm doing 10 in a small tray, and I've just divided the tray up into furrows. Many of you have seen me do it before, but in case you're new, I'll just fill it with sieved compost and use my fingers just to make little furrows. Then I divide the tray off, and you can get so many varieties of seeds into one tiny little tray like that. I'll put all the varieties that I'm sowing up on the screen, and it's just a case of just somewhere around 30 or 40 seeds per little tray. And what I'm aiming for is 3 or 4 plants of each, and then I will just put compost over the top, water them, leave them on one of the hanging shelves in here. So that's that done, and I'll be repeat sowing those somewhere around every 4 to 6 weeks, more like the 6 or 7 weeks in reality, just to keep a fresh supply of salads going. So as I'm picking from one patch, the next patch is growing on, getting ready for picking, and that way we don't have a shortage. So that's salads done. Brilliant. As behind me here, this is a bed of brassicas that I sowed a few weeks back. It's got things like cauliflowers and summer cabbage in. I want to get started on another bed of brassicas, and I've got Brussels sprouts, a couple of Savoy cabbages, different types, Winter King and Savoy Perfection, and a couple of kales. One is Vates' Blue Curled, and another is Nero di Toscana. And I will be sowing more of the kales later on, sort of early July-ish. These are more for the autumn sowings. I'm using my homegrown dibber. Just draw a drill, put a label in. This is the Brussels sprouts, and we're just going to palm sow them into this drill. Pop them in your hand, and then just with the crack of your hand there, where your skin sort of folds, just control them by waggling your fingers, and they'll fall out into the drill perfectly along like so. And I'll do the same with all those varieties that I just mentioned, and it literally only takes 5 minutes, probably a minute per variety. It's very quick. When you're limited for time, this is a very handy, convenient way of doing things. And brassicas You know, these were all sowed when we had frost outside. They don't need great heat to get going. And look at them now, they're doing wonderful. Don't need a propagator for them. Windowsill, don't need to take up that space. Just get them sowed outside or in your polytunnel or greenhouse. No problem. There's 2 varieties sown. And, you know, I won't need all these, but the seeds are so cheap. I just go and sowing them. Other people can have them. Doesn't bother me at all. There you go, another variety. That's how quick it is. So I'll get the other 2 varieties done and we'll go up home and start doing the warm weather stuff. To that brassica bed I also added a Sicilian cauliflower. It's like a reddish colour, and an early purple sprouting broccoli as well. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7 brassicas sowed there for later in the year. Right, off home to the greenhouse. Now I think it's been about a month since we were last in here, and since then you may remember, or you may not, that on my heat mat over here I had a load of flower seeds, old seed that I'd sown, and it was performing as expected and the flowers didn't really germinate and get going. All that's down the tunnel now, got out the way because I need to focus on all this lot, which is the hot weather plants. And I've got a mix of tomatoes at the back there and some peppers looking a bit pale, and some chili peppers, more tomatoes, and over the back here we've got some aubergines, more peppers, and a few flowers that need potting on. These will be done in this next week. And at the front here is the last tomatoes that I was sent. This first lot at the front here, this lot along here, is the Brad's Atomic Grape that Tony kindly sent to me. And the ones behind are blue chocolate, black strawberry, and these are the Barry's Crazy Cherry, which give enormous trusses of fruit. And they were all kindly sent to me by Audrey from a little, what's that site called again? Real Food Comes Dirty. And I'll put a link to her channel and to Tony's as well, why not? And they were just potted on yesterday actually. I've got far too many tomatoes, but it is what it is. We all do it and we're all guilty of it. But what I need to do now, you can't probably see it, the thermostat for this bench just here is this one, and it's set at about 25-28 degrees during the day and maintains that, and at night time it drops to 23, so that's perfect for on here. And this thermostat here controls this heat mat, and it's around 16 degrees, and overnight it maintains about 10 degrees. So what I'm going to do with this heat mat is I'm going to put all my tomatoes onto that mat from now on, and they'll all be on there today, which frees up this space for other hot weather crops, which is what I've come up here to the greenhouse today to sow. So we're going to get cracking with that now. We'll shuffle it all around later, but we'll get sowing the hot weather crops, which I've got already over there. So let's get on with it. So I've got a tray full of compost here, and because all of these things that I'm sowing now are very heavy feeders, very hungry, they're all going to grow ultra fast and basically eat this compost out of house and home very quickly. I'm going to add some fish blood and bone to it and just mix it up, just to give them a little bit of extra oomph once those seeds come out of their dormancy and start germinating. So they've got a little bit of extra something to go at. It's like coming in from playing football and having a Sunday lunch. So that's a decent enough mix up. And the first thing I'm going to be sowing is sweet corn. This is unsieved compost. I'm not using sieved for any of these seeds I'm sowing now. They're all much bigger seeds. I'm sowing them direct into modules, all of them, so I won't be pricking them out. I only use the sieved compost when I'm pricking seeds out. It just makes life so much easier and quicker. But in this one, this is a container-wise tray. It's a much deeper one, and it works like a root trainer. And I'm putting sweet corn in this. Not growing as much sweet corn as we did last year, but nonetheless still growing it. And the variety of this one is Incredible F1, and you can see here this really could do with soaking, and you could soak this overnight or even for a few hours during the day. Just soak them in some warm water and they'll soon start to swell up, but I'll let them soak up the water in the modules. It'll take about an extra day or so to germinate them because of that, but I can live with that. So I'll just pop a seed onto each, and there's probably more seeds here than I've got cells for. I'll double up on some of them. Then all we do is just bury them down to first knuckle deep, and then we'll sprinkle a bit of compost on the top, water them, put them on the propagator behind me, and that's job done. These will grow really fast, and from a day of germination a root will come out of it and it can be 1 inch long. By day 3 they're coming out the bottom of these pots, so I'll have a choice to make. I can either pot them on into bigger pots from there, or I can plant them out. And for me, I like to get my sweet corn planted early. No doubt I will probably do that, pop them straight out into soil. These ones that are doubled, I shall pull off the weaker plants. So that doesn't get much simpler than that. So the next one we have up are the squashes and pumpkins. Now this one is a pumpkin, and this one is Jack of all trades. It was a freebie off a magazine. Excuse me. And again, putting them on edge, knuckle deep into the compost. Now the packet says 4 seeds. There's actually 5 in here, which is great because I'm putting them into these container-wise modules, 15 cell trays. So that's that one, and the rest of this tray I'll be sowing 2 up in each module, and this is a butternut squash. The pumpkins I only want to grow for carving for the local kids, really. The butternut squash are the ones that I eat out of preference. I have grown other squashes over the years, but the butternut's a favourite. If you want a really nice squash, then I think it's called Marianne di Chioggia. It's an Italian variety. Looks all kind of knobbly and warty on the outside, but gosh, that's fantastic. I haven't grown that for a couple of years now. So there we go, that's that. And I really only want 3 or 4 plants of the butternut squash. But again, seeds are so cheap. I mean, that's last year's seeds, 90 seeds in it. I grew plants from it last year. No doubt it'll grow me plants this year and probably next as well. And there we go, so that's another one done. Right, and last up are my cucumbers, and I've got 3 types here. The first one is a smallish one, almost a half-size cucumber in comparison to what you can get at the supermarket, and this one is Beth Alpha, and it's a nice one, grows quite well, and this is the one I always grow in the polytunnel. And again, I'm just sowing 2 seeds in each. I think these are last year's seeds again. This one is La Diva, and until I found Beth Alpha, this was the variety I used to grow. And I'm going to sow 2 of these in each cell again. I'm not actually holding out much hope for these because these seeds are 3 years out of date. But I found a packet in my collection. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sow them and see what happens. You can always find a home for a plant on somebody else's plot. So, there we go. And the last one is called Masterpiece. This is a proper sized cucumber. And again, I'm sowing 2 in each. And this is more for outdoor growing. And it's something, to be honest with you, I've not had a great deal of success with growing cucumbers outside. I don't know whether it's me, the weather, the ground, the attention I give them or don't give them. I really have no idea, but I don't have a lot of success. Over the years, over sort of 10 years, if I've had half a dozen cucumbers from plants outside, growing them every year, I'd probably be lying, to be honest. Probably a lot less than that. So I don't know what it is, but it doesn't seem to work for me. So we keep trying. We'll crack it eventually. So there's my cucumbers all done. So there we go. That's all my hot weather crops sown for this time of the year. These should all grow fairly rapidly, fairly quickly. They're hungry, vigorous growers. And that's why I've given them the extra feed. And we've got melons here, courgettes, sweet corn, squashes, pumpkins, and all the cucumbers. These should all grow, as I say, very quickly. They all need a water now and proper labelling, and then I shall change them and put them over here on the real heat and move the tomatoes over onto this heat mat, because I want the tomatoes to be going to the polytunnel within the next week, 10 days, 2 weeks. We'll see what the weather's like. Overnight temperatures are looking more and more favourable for my area, up around the 8 and 9 degrees. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, certainly I can get them down to the polytunnel and make more space. So I think that's somewhere between 25 and 28 different types of seed I've sown today, which is quite remarkable considering it's just virgin on May. But they're all edible crops. There will be extras as well through the month as it goes on. I know I need to sow beans, and I'll be doing something special with them this week. I gave you a little teaser about some compost a couple of weeks back. I'll be doing a test with that with beans. I know I need to sow spring onions as well, because that's a repeat crop. Want to keep them coming. But for now, that's all the hot weather crops. All those crops that I've just sown in here today should grow ultra quick and basically be eating me out of house and home very, very quickly. And that tells me then that I've got everything right. I'm sowing where the weather's warm, sowing it into a warm place, and then when it comes out of there, it can go into warm soil down at the allotment, and it will benefit from that. There's no point going too early with those plants. I did last year. And what tends to happen is you'll sow something, let's say you'll sow something on the 1st of April and it grows well. Next year, 4 or 5 days before that, you think, oh, I'll sow them now. And the year after that, you go, oh, 4 or 5 days earlier. And before you know where you are, you're in mid-March and your crop fails. And then you have to go back to your standard again, the 1st of April. And this happens to many gardeners every year. Every year we try to go as early as we possibly can, try to get things going as quickly as possible. It doesn't always pay, so I've hung back this year. I say this time last year, well, this time, I think the 6th of May last year, I had cucumbers that were this big, and most of those squash and things, they were all of this size as well. But I've hung back this year because I got hit last year with cold. So hopefully that will be better for me this year. But for now, look after yourselves, everyone. Please stay safe. See you all very soon on the live on Tony's channel, Monday night. And we'll do a video on flowers and herbs in the week. So look after yourselves, stay safe. See you soon. Ta-ra now.